Hello, welcome. David Judge here from Affordable Staff, and I have Keith Marshall here from AMAFA, which stands for
Australian Mortgage and Financial Advisors.
So we're here to talk with Keith today a little bit around outsourcing. Keith is obviously a client and has been for a while with us, and just to get his idea around outsourcing, and I have a couple of questions here that we can ask as well. So as we get started, Keith, can you first of all start by telling us a little bit about your business?
We're a financial services business. We provide service to clients in mortgage broking, personal finance, superannuation, personal insurance, and general financial planning.
Excellent. And how long have you been in business for now? It's been a while, isn't it?
We've been going 17 years now. The names of the company has changed sometimes, but the company is still essentially the same. But we originally started as a mortgage broking business and have grown from there.
So established within the industry.
Established within the industry.
Is that a good thing, or it depends on the day?
Well, I guess it's a natural progression.
Yes.
Things improve.
Okay, so next question. So why is it you decided to outsource?
I think outsourcing is the way of the future.
Yes.
Outsourcing, I think, is going to become more and more prevalent, and it's certainly a model that suits our style of business. Most of our work is done away from the office.
Yeah.
It's done in clients' homes and clients' businesses, and really to have people working in an office environment is not ideal for us. Whereas having somebody such as what we have with you guys is perfect.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. There are a number of different industries out there nowadays that are starting to make that transition. I was listening to a radio station this morning, and they were talking about when you're young, you used to perform a job as a gig, which would be mowing the lawns or going out and and delivering milk, and then over a period of time, people have transitioned into working in a job environment. And now they're saying that because of opportunities like Uber and Airbnb and other industries out there that are changing, that things like outsourcing are becoming more prevalent because of the nature and the style of work, for people to be able to work away from an office instead of having to be locked into that little cubicle that they had to be previously.
Oh, absolutely, and it gives you more freedom. And in a lot of cases, outsourcing is convenient for the person who's the employee as well.
Yes, and I think of anything like obviously Tanya working for you, she works in an actual physical office environment, so you still have that stability around having a person that's there, with that reliable internet connection, power, and all the other things that are necessary to make sure things are done on time.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that leads us into the next question quite well. Now, I always like to ask this question because it's an important question, and it's around trust. So do you think, and if so, why do you think it's important when you have an outsourced person to be able to trust that person?
Oh, this is a critical to us. Being in the business we are in, we're dealing with people's personal information at all times. And having reliable people and people that we can trust is paramount to the way we operate. A lot of the information we have is highly confidential.
Yes.
In all honesty, we don't provide outsourcing with confidential information. But should something happen, it's critical that we have a relationship with somebody that we can trust, and that the protocols are in place to protect that data that's out there. It's critically important to us. I couldn't stress that enough.
Yes, and I've said this many times before. If you had an Australian employee, and this isn't anything against a local Australian employee, but a lot of local Australian employees, you could have them working for you for, let's say, X amount of years. And I've heard many instances and experienced several times instances through other businesses that I've run where people have gone and collected that data, and they've taken that data and they've then gone and used it to their own advantage.
Yeah, I'm sure that does happen, but also just simply from a privacy point of view and the potential for, if you want to call it, cybercrime, it's critically important to us that our data is protected.
Yeah, and we've actually put in place a lot of measures as a result of just knowing ourselves and our own experiences. I had many years ago when we were outsourcing to India, where we actually had one of our team members, it's only happened once to us, where they went and took client data and they poached that client and they tried to get them as a client. And I thought, this is actually, really opened up my eyes at the time.
Yep.
Because we were outsourcing ourselves before we offered it as a service for clients. And at the time, we understood the importance of putting measures in place, and we have everything from non-disclosure undertakings through to terminals and servers that people can access where the data remains there, paperless environment, preventing any USBs in operation, secure entry, keeping phones, everything separate. So there's a lot of mechanisms that have been put in place, which of course, like anything, are only as good as the people that you have working for you. So
yeah, but in fairness, I mean, those sort of limitations exist if you had somebody working in your office as well.
Yeah.
The fact that somebody might be sitting in the Philippines is only marginally different. You still have to have the same protocols whether you're in the Philippines or whether you're in Australia.
Yes, very good point. So that really leads us well into the next question, which is, why did you choose us?
Well, I had a working relationship with your other division on the website, and was impressed with the service, and it was almost a natural progression that I would then move towards what you're doing. So it was simply because of the support I'd had previously.
Yes,
made logical sense for me to continue the relationship.
And one of the big factors for us is, despite the fact that we have an office, if you were to call it that, in another country, is that it's really important for us to have someone here that you can talk to.
Absolutely, yeah. No. Look, for me, it hasn't made any difference that you've got an office in another country.
Yes.
It's the same as if I've got somebody working in the office right next door to me. It makes no difference.
Yes. Okay, excellent. So, next question. What limitations have you found around outsourcing?
Very few. I guess Tanya can't make me a cup of coffee, but
we're trying to arrange that. That'll be in the next year.
But no, I really haven't found any limitations. I've actually found it works very well.
Yes.
I guess if it was to be a limitation, the change of hours would most of the time actually suits me, where Tanya would only start at 10 o'clock in the morning because of the 2-hour time difference, and she knocks off after 6. So sometimes that can be a bit of an issue if I'm not going to be around after 5 o'clock, and there's still stuff that needs to be done. I'll only see it the next morning.
Yes.
But 9 times out of 10, it's actually to my advantage that she only starts at 10 o'clock. It gives me some time to prepare my day, and make sure that I'm ready to pass on work to her that needs to be done. So no, I can't say that I've seen any limitations at all.
Yeah, and I think if I were to put it out there, and this is on the fly that just came into my mind, one limitation within Australia could potentially be legislative, legislation that's in place to around the sharing of data and the access of data, which could, potentially prevent you from taking outsourcing wherever you wanted it to.
I think that is an issue, but as I said earlier, our data doesn't leave Australia, so
yes.
Nobody needs to be concerned about that actually happening. And if it got to the stage that we needed to take that step, we would ensure that the sufficient protocols were in place. You spoke about trust earlier. Tanya's been with me for over 12 months now. I think I know her pretty well.
Yes.
The trust basis is there, but at this stage we still don't take any data outside Australia.
Yes. Okay, excellent. Okay, so next question. So what do you think your industry, or how does your industry see outsourcing, do you believe?
I think the financial services industry is probably, in my opinion, leading outsourcing. You only have to look at the big banks who are doing all their processing in India.
Yes.
It's not unusual for us to do an application with one of the big banks and to get a phone call at 7 o'clock at night from Bangalore.
Yes.
Because they have a query on a file. So it's certainly not a negative feeling that the industry has towards outsourcing. As far as I'm concerned, they're pretty much embracing it, and I would expect that it's going to continue to grow.
Yeah, and many people that I've spoken to, and many of our clients, when I ask them around that same question, they're saying the same thing, that they can see that it's a continuing to upwards trend in their industry. Everything from businesses like yourselves through to manufacturing businesses where they can track administrative tasks using the software packages they have. So
yeah.
Okay. So The future. So this leads in, and we'll probably hear similar things, in response to your last question. How do you see the future of outsourcing?
Oh, I think I've already answered that. I think it's going to grow.
Yes.
I think, there's no question in my mind that the advantages of outsourcing far outweigh the disadvantages. With the growth of IT and the applications that are available to you, it's so much more easier to do business with a laptop and a mobile phone.
Yes.
And so, I think it's definitely going to grow. You asked about limitations earlier, and perhaps I should say now that I do find a limitation is an internet connection.
Yes.
If your internet goes down, you're effectively out of business for that period of time.
Yes.
Not that happens very often, but we don't have the best internet sometimes in this country.
Yes, in Australia, and funnily enough, we have a fibre optic connection going to our office, and the internet there is always 100%. And as we record, Telstra unfortunately have had a few hiccups in the last few weeks.
I guess that's really what I was referring to.
Yes, yes. Sorry, Telstra. Okay, so last question, very, very last question. What would you say to a person that's considering outsourcing?
I would reflect on my initial reaction to outsourcing, and it was possibly one of concern and a bit of trepidation. But having done it, I would say I wouldn't hesitate. Go and give it a try. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But I think you will find that it's probably going to be good for you.
Yes.
Certainly there's benefits in terms of the way you can work. And obviously there's the reduced costs by not having to have somebody full-time in your office. So the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages.
That's right. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time today, Keith. And
my pleasure.
And thank you again for being a client, and enjoy continuing to work with you, and as you continue to grow and as we continue to grow, and look forward to keeping that relationship flourishing.
Perfect. So do I.
Excellent. So thank you very much, guys. You would by now have seen our 1300 number listed down here. And if you would like to have a talk to any of the team around outsourcing, give us a call and we can take it from there. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, and talk soon.